The cold encounter, the wind screamed across the ice-covered valley. Snowflakes swirled in the air like small white ghosts. The ground was hard, frozen, and silent, except for the steady crunch of boots pressing into the snow. Carter held his thermal rifle tightly and looked at the scanner on his wrist. A small red dot blinked on the screen. It was a heat signature, strange, soft, and too weak to be a machine. He narrowed his eyes. "What are you doing out here?" He whispered. He was a scout for Earth's frontier corps. He had seen many strange things in his years, traveling across dead planets and battle zones. But nothing prepared him for what he saw next, behind a cracked metal wall, half covered in snow. He found her. She was curled up like a child, barely moving. Her body was thin and glowing slightly blue under the ice crystals. She had soft, glowing skin that shimmered like starlight. Her white hair flowed across her shoulders, tangled with frost. Her eyes, barely open, met his. Carter didn't move. At first, he aimed his rifle, unsure what this creature was. But she didn't attack. She didn't even flinch. Her lips trembled as she whispered in a voice so soft, it almost got lost in the wind. "Will you share your warmth with me, human?" Carter froze. Those words hit something deep inside him. He had heard alien speech before, angry, cold, robotic. But this? It was soft, human-like, sad. He looked around. There were no signs of traps, no enemies hiding behind hills. Just silence. "And snow, who are you?" he asked, lowering his weapon slowly. She didn't answer. Her head dropped, and her body began to tremble harder. Her fingers curled against her chest like she was trying to hold herself together. Carter cursed under his breath and dropped to one knee. "Damn it," he muttered. He removed his coat and wrapped it around her gently. Her body felt ice cold, even through the thick fabric. She gasped softly, her glowing eyes fluttering open again. Her skin responded to the warmth, glowing a little brighter now. He tapped his comms unit. "Command, this is Scout Carter. I found something. Possibly a life form, non-hostile, female-shaped, not human. Possibly hybrid, weak and freezing. Requesting med-evac." The reply came quickly. "Negative, Carter. No retrievals from the ice zone. Too dangerous. Leave it and return." He looked at the alien girl again. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. She was trying to speak. Maybe trying to thank him. Carter didn't respond to command. He lifted her gently in his arms. She was light, far too light, like bones wrapped in air. As he carried her, the cold bit into him, but he didn't care. She pressed her head against his chest. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You feel like sun." That stopped him again. She spoke with feeling, not just instinct. She wasn't a robot, not a weapon. She was alive, a person. A girl lost in the snow, begging for warmth. He made his way to an abandoned outpost he had passed earlier. The building was broken, walls cracked, but it had a roof and an old power core. He kicked the door open and placed her near the heating unit. The power flickered as he restarted the system. Lights blinked and warm air hissed into the room. She opened her eyes wider now. The heat brought color to her cheeks. Her fingers moved gently across his coat like it was made of magic. "What's your name?" he asked. She shook her head. "Don't remember," he frowned. "How long have you been out there?" She paused. Then, with a fragile voice, "Too long. I ran. I hid. The Dark Ones, they chased me. I fell cold." "The Dark Ones?" he asked, but she was already slipping back into sleep. Carter sighed and stood up. He secured the room, checked his weapon, then looked back at her. Something was very wrong. She was not supposed to be here. No other life signs were found on this planet during the scan. No records of survivors. No signal. But here she was, glowing, shivering, whispering. He sat beside her and watched the snow fall outside the cracked window. Something had brought her to him. Or maybe something was coming for her. Either way, he wasn't leaving her alone. Again. Not now. Not ever. Asterisk. The wind outside had not stopped. It howled like a lost animal, shaking the broken walls of the outpost. Inside, Carter sat near the heater, eyes fixed on the girl wrapped in his coat. Her breathing had become slower, but steadier. She was still asleep, but not peaceful. Her head moved slightly, and her lips twitched as if she were talking in a dream. Sometimes she whispered something in a language Carter didn't understand. Soft musical words that sounded like stars singing. Other times, she shook like she was scared. He stood up and walked over to her. "Hey," he said gently. "You're safe now." Her eyes opened slowly, glowing pale blue. She looked at him for a long moment, then blinked like she was trying to remember where she was. "You stayed," she said softly. "I couldn't just leave you there to freeze." She tried to sit up but winced in pain and dropped her head back. "You're still weak," Carter said. "You need to rest." She didn't answer. Instead, she stared at the heater. Her skin, still glowing faintly, pulsed like waves of light were moving under it. That's when Carter noticed something strange. The scanner on his wrist was picking up energy coming from her. It wasn't normal heat. It was something else. Something alive. He walked over and checked the device again. It blinked red. "A warning. Strange," he whispered. "You're not just cold. Something's wrong inside you." The girl looked up. "I feel empty," she whispered. "Like a part of me is gone." "What's the last thing you remember?" She closed her eyes tightly. Running, hiding, a metal sky, pain, then cold. So much cold. She shivered again. Even though the heater was blowing warm air. Carter opened his supply bag and handed her a water pack. She held it like she'd never seen one before. After a few seconds, she took a sip. "You have a name?" he asked. She thought hard. "Lyra," he nodded. "Okay, Lyra, I'm Carter." A soft smile touched her lips. "Carter," she repeated slowly, like the name was new to her. Just then, the base lights flickered. The heating system made a strange noise. Carter stood up fast. He grabbed his rifle and checked the entrance. A sharp sound buzzed in the air, metal scraping against ice. "Stay here," he told her, stepping toward the door. Outside, shadows moved. Carter peered through a crack in the wall. Shapes. Fast. Low to the ground. Drones. His heart raced. "Of course," he whispered. "They tracked her." He ran back to Lyra. "We have to move. Now." She looked weak, but she nodded. Carter helped her to her feet. She leaned against him, barely able to walk. Her skin was warmer now, almost hot. The scanner showed a rising energy reading. Like something inside her was waking up. As they stepped outside, the snow hit them like needles. Carter pulled his scarf over his face and scanned the area. The drones were closer now, 3, maybe 4, gliding through the snow like hunters. Moved quickly, dragging Lyra behind him toward the old tunnels behind the outpost. The frozen pipes and buried storage chambers might give them cover, but before they could reach the entrance, a drone rose up from behind a snowbank. Its red eye blinked once, then locked onto Lyra. Carter didn't wait. He fired. The shot hit the drone square in the eye, sending it spinning into the snow. 2 more popped up from the sides. Carter pulled Lyra behind a broken crate. He fired again, hitting another drone's wing. Sparks flew. One of the drones fired back, a sharp blue beam slicing through the air. It hit the ground inches from Carter's boots. Lyra suddenly cried out. Her body glowed brighter. "Carter, .. she said. "I can feel them." "What do you mean?" "They want me dead." He looked at her. "Why?" "I don't know," she said, voice shaking. "But I think I was made for something dangerous." The ground near them exploded as another shot hit. "No time," Carter muttered. He grabbed her hand. "We run, now." They dashed across the snow. The last drone chased them, firing again and again. Suddenly, Lyra stopped and turned. Her hands lit up bright like fire, but cold blue. A pulse of light shot from her palms and hit the drone. It exploded in midair, raining down hot metal. She gasped and fell to her knees. Carter ran to her. "Lyra, what was that?" She looked up at him, terrified. "I don't know." He stared at her glowing hands. "You're not just some girl who got lost." "I never said I was," she whispered. Carter looked at the sky. More would come. He helped her up again. "Then we better find out who you really are, before someone else does." Together, they disappeared into the tunnel's mouth, swallowed by the shadows below the ice. The tunnel was dark and cold, carved through ancient ice and rock. Carter's flashlight flickered as he moved forward, holding Lyra close. Her skin still glowed faintly, lighting up the narrow walls around them. She was weak again, shivering in silence. Her breath came out in small clouds. They didn't speak much. Every sound echoed. Water dripped slowly from the ceiling above, and the old metal floor groaned beneath their steps. After half an hour of walking, Carter found a sealed door marked with Earth military symbols. "This place used to be one of our old bases," he abandoned long ago. He pressed a button on the control panel. The screen lit up with green text. "Power low, manual start required." Carter opened the side panel and pulled out the wires. "Let's hope I still remember how to hotwire these things," he said. Lyra sat on the ground, her back against the wall. Her eyes were half closed. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. He looked at her, confused. "Because you needed help." "But I'm not human," she whispered. Carter shrugged. "Doesn't matter. You didn't try to kill me. That's more than I can say for most beings out here." A soft smile touched her lips, but it faded quickly. Carter finally got the door open with a loud hiss. Inside was a small control room, filled with old screens, dusty equipment, and frozen wires. The emergency power flickered on. He helped Lyra to a chair, then looked through the systems. One screen showed maps, another showed life readings. Then he noticed a small blinking icon in the corner. "Message, locked, origin, unknown, curious." Carter tapped the icon. A sharp buzzing noise filled the room. Lyra gasped. Her body stiffened. Her skin pulsed with bright blue light. "Lyra?" Carter rushed to her. The sound changed. A strange alien voice came through the speakers. Words layered over other words. Static and warning tones. Carter turned back to the screen. Strange symbols danced across it, part alien, part Earth code. Suddenly, the message stopped. A single phrase blinked on the monitor. "She is the key. Shut her down." Carter stepped back, his face pale. "What the hell?" Lyra's eyes opened wide. "They found me," she whispered. Who are they?" She looked down at her hands. "I think I was made to stop something. A war. Maybe more." Carter stared at her. "Are you saying you're a weapon?" "No," she said, shaking her head slowly. "I don't feel like one, but they made me ... for something big. I just don't remember all of it yet." Before he could respond, the control room lights flickered again. The screen changed, now showing a red alert. "Incoming unidentified. Signal DECTD." A second message appeared. "Earth High Command notified. Do not engage subject. Subject is classified level Omega." Carter's heart sank. Level Omega ... That's top-tier Black Ops level. "This isn't just about you anymore, Lyra. They know where we are." Lyra stood, legs shaking. "They will come to erase me." Carter looked at the broken door. "Then we don't give them the chance." He grabbed a small data core from the console and shoved it into his pack. "We're leaving." "But where will we go?" she asked. He pointed toward the maintenance tunnels. "There's a long path that leads toward the deep storage caverns. We hide there, recover, then figure out what you are and why Earth wants you dead." They ran through the narrow tunnel. As they reached the end, A loud explosion shook the ground above. Lyra stopped, covering her ears. "They're here already," Carter said through clenched teeth. The ground cracked, opened behind them, and a swarm of black drones dropped in, hovering like insects with red glowing eyes. Carter fired fast, his bullets bouncing off the drone's shields. One drone fired back, hitting his side. He grunted and fell to one knee. "Carter!" Lyra screamed. He looked up, blood dripping down his arm. "Run!" But Lyra didn't run. She stepped in front of him. Her body lit up again, brighter than before. Her eyes glowed like two small stars. The drone stopped for a moment, scanning her. Then Lyra lifted her hands, and a pulse of light burst out, silent and pure. The drones froze in mid-air. One by one, they fell to the ground lifeless. Carter stared. "How did you do that?" Lyra looked shocked. "I didn't mean to. It just happened." "You saved me," he said. She smiled faintly. "Maybe I'm not a weapon. Maybe I'm a shield." He nodded. "Maybe you're both. And maybe that's exactly what scares them." As the last drone sank into the snow, Lyra helped Carter stand. His arm burned with pain, but his eyes were full of new fire. He looked at her and said, "No more running. We find out the truth, and we make them afraid of what you can really become." They disappeared into the shadows of the deep cavern, knowing that the real danger had only just begun. The deep cavern stretched below the ice like a hidden world. Carter limped beside Lyra through tight tunnels of frozen metal and old stone. His side still hurt from the drone blast, but he kept moving. The air was colder here, and the silence was heavier. They found a dark chamber at the end of a broken hallway. Inside were shattered screens, cracked glass tubes, and strange machines covered in frost. Symbols from both Earth and alien languages glowed faintly on the walls. This place wasn't just a bunker, Carter said, shining his flashlight across a control panel. It was a lab. Lyra walked slowly, her fingers brushing the cold metal. Something inside the room called to her. She didn't know how, but she had been here before. "I remember this," she whispered. Carter looked over. "You sure?" She nodded. "Not all of it, just feelings, sounds. I was smaller, younger, and I wasn't alone." Carter checked one of the machines and pulled a power cable. It sparked, then hissed to life. Old lights blinked on. One of the glass tubes on the wall lit up. Inside was a projection, a video playing in the air. Lyra's breath caught. It showed a child, small, pale blue skin, white hair. She was laughing. Humans stood around her, smiling. Scientists, soldiers. Even a human child held her hand. "That's me," Lyra whispered. Carter stared in disbelief. "You grew up in an Earth facility?" "They raised me," she said, touching the glass. "They taught me words, showed me pictures. I remember music, warmth. Then one day, the lights turned red. People ran. They shouted my name. Then nothing. The screen changed. Now it showed another image, one of fire, explosions, chaos. Soldiers fighting, screams, and Lyra's small body being placed inside a cryo-pod. The pod sealed, then dropped into a shaft labeled Emergency Containment Frozen Storage Sector 9. "They buried me," she said quietly. "To protect me, or to hide me." Carter stepped back, his face pale. "You were part of something big. A peace project, maybe. Something meant to end war between species." "But someone didn't want peace," Lyra said. "Someone wanted me erased." Carter walked to a nearby terminal. Dust flew as he wiped the screen and activated it. A list of files appeared. Most were corrupted, but one blinked. Project Lumina Last Hope. Hardened tapped it. A voice played. A female scientist. Calm, but serious. "This is Dr. Mayron of Project Lumina. If this file is playing, then everything has failed. The hybrid child Lyra, holds the key to piece DNA from both human and alien bloodlines. We created her not as a weapon, but as a bridge. But powerful people didn't want that. They wanted war. And they came for her. We had no choice but to put her to sleep. If she is awake now, protect her, or the galaxy will burn. The message ended. Silence followed. Lyra sat down slowly. So I'm a creation? Carter crouched beside her. You're alive. You're real, and you're more than what they made you for. Lyra looked at her glowing hands. Why did they make me with power? Because peace is dangerous to those who profit from war, Carter said. And if you could end war, they feared, you would destroy their control. Suddenly the ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Carter raised his rifle. What now? The main door of the lab began to open with a loud groan. Red emergency lights blinked. A voice echoed through the halls. Surrender the hybrid. She belongs to Earth High Command. Lyra stood quickly. No, I won't go back. Carter grabbed her arm. We can't fight them in here. We need another way out. She looked around, her memories growing stronger. There's an escape tunnel behind the tanks. I remember a doctor used to take me there to see the stars. They ran to the back of the lab. Behind two fallen machines was a narrow door. Carter kicked it open. Cold air rushed in. A long tunnel stretched into the ice, lit only by small glowing lights along the walls. They ran. Behind them, heavy boots entered the lab. Soldiers with glowing visors. Earth elite hunters. One of them looked at the broken tube and said, the hybrid has awakened. We cannot let her leave this world. Lyra and Carter kept running. The tunnel curved downward, away from the lab and deeper into forgotten places. As they moved, Carter looked at her. You were made for peace, he said. But now we have to fight for it. Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes full of fire. Then I'll fight with my heart, not with hate. They disappeared into the darkness, one step closer to the truth, and to the final storm waiting ahead. The escape tunnel opened into a wide cave filled with broken machines, rusted walkways, and glowing walls covered in frost. Old lights blinked weakly, casting long shadows. Carter helped Lyra down a cracked metal ramp, both of them moving carefully. Every step echoed in the hollow space. Lyra paused. Her eyes scanned the chamber slowly. This place. It remembers me. Carter raised an eyebrow. You mean you remember it? She nodded, almost afraid. No, I mean both. Carter looked around. The air here was warmer. Strange plants glowed faintly on the edges of the walls. Alien moss feeding on leftover energy. In the center of the chamber stood a large circular platform, half buried in dust and ice. What is this place? Carter asked. Lyra stepped forward and placed her palm on the platform's center. A light spread from her hand like water over glass. Suddenly, the cave shifted. A hologram lit up above them, huge, spinning slowly. It showed Earth, then other planets. Images of humans and alien leaders shaking hands. Crowds cheering. Then fire. Riots, battles, and finally, Lyra. She was smaller in the memory. A child with glowing skin and soft eyes, standing between leaders. She was meant to be our future, a voice echoed through the cave. But our future was stolen. It was the same voice from earlier. Dr. Mayron, Lyra whispered, I know. This voice, she read me stories at night. She called me Little Light. The hologram changed. Now it showed Lyra laughing, playing with a human boy in a white lab coat. That's me, Carter said, stunned. What? Lyra turned to him. I remember now. My dad worked in Project Lumina. He used to bring me here after school. You were my friend, my only friend. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. You gave me a scarf, red, soft. You said I looked cold. Carter smiled. And you gave me a rock that glowed. I still have it. He pulled a small blue stone from his pocket. Lyra gasped. You kept it? He nodded. I didn't know why until now. The hologram faded. Silence returned, but not for long. Alarms echoed through the tunnel behind them. Earth's soldiers had entered the cave system. They were closing in. Carter turned quickly. We have to move, now. But Lyra didn't move. Her hands trembled. Her body pulsed with energy. I'm scared, she said. I don't want to hurt people, but if I don't stop them, they'll take me. Carter stepped closer. Then don't think of hurting them. Think of saving yourself. Think of protecting us. The ground shook, heavy footsteps. Voices shouting. Lyra whispered, hold my hand. Carter took her hand firmly. Her body lit up, not just with light, but with memory. Energy swirled around them. The platform beneath their feet glowed brighter, and then the chamber opened. A hidden door slid away, revealing a sleek pod ship covered in frost. It was small, but fast, built for escape. It looked untouched, as if waiting for her all these years. Carter smiled. Guess someone planned ahead. They ran to the ship. Lyra placed her hand on the door. It opened instantly. Recognizing her. Suddenly, a sharp voice called out, freeze! Soldiers poured into the chamber, weapons raised. Carter stepped in front of Lyra, aiming his rifle. Back off! But the soldiers didn't move. Their leader, a tall man in black armor with a gold visor, stepped forward. You don't understand what she is, he said. She's not just a girl, she's a living key. If she escapes, every locked gate across the sector opens. Lyra looked at him. And what happens if I stay? You'll be studied, controlled. You'll never be free again. She stared at the man's visor, then at Carter. I choose freedom, she whispered. Energy burst from her chest, gentle, not violent. It pushed the soldiers back, dropping them to their knees without pain. Carter pulled her into the pod. As the door sealed shut, the man shouted, You're making a mistake. She'd destroy everything. Carter looked out the window. No. She'll fix what you broke. The ship lifted off, rising through a shaft that opened to the surface. Snow poured in from above. Cold wind met them. But inside the pod, it was warm. Lyra looked at Carter. Her eyes sparkled like stars. You remembered me, she said softly. I never forgot, he replied. She leaned her head on his shoulder. And for the first time in her life, Lyra didn't feel like an experiment. She felt like a person, like someone finally going home. The pod ship cut through the snowy sky like a silver flame. Its engines hummed quietly as it flew above the ice fields, leaving the cold world behind. Inside, Lyra sat beside Carter, her hands resting on her knees, glowing faintly. She didn't speak. She was thinking. Carter checked the navigation. We'll be out of the atmosphere in 5 minutes. After that, we disappear. No one will track us easily in the outer belts. Lyra nodded but didn't look up. You okay? He asked. She didn't answer right away. Her voice came low. There's something growing inside me. He turned to her sharply. What do you mean? It's not pain, she said. It's not fear. It's power. A storm. It wants to rise. And I don't know if I can stop it. Carter frowned. Is it from your memories? Lyra touched her chest. It's from everything. The pain, the fear, the way they looked at me like I was a thing. A tool. The part of me that wants to burn. It all down is getting louder. Carter leaned closer. Then listened to something louder. Like what? He placed his hand on hers. Hope, kindness, the parts of you that want to heal. Lyra looked into his eyes. What if those parts are too small? They're not. I know, because I saw them first. A soft beeping interrupted the moment. Carter turned to the console. A ship was approaching fast, unmarked, dark, silent. It wasn't Earth's. It was an alien. Someone found us, he said, tightening his grip on the controls. The strange ship didn't fire. It moved alongside them, then sent a signal. Lyra stepped forward. "Let me try." She placed her hand on the panel. The ship responded instantly, linking to her thoughts. A voice filled the pod. Double quotes Lyra. You have awakened. It wasn't threatening. It was calm, familiar. "Who are you?" she asked. "We are the Watchers of Peace, hidden long ago. We created Project Lumina with Earth and the stars. But when the others betrayed the plan, we were forced to wait. Until you returned." Carter narrowed his eyes. "So what now? You want her back to finish the project?" "No," the voice replied. "We want her to choose, burn or heal, destroy or rebuild. She carries both inside her." Lyra stepped back, shaken. "Why me?" "Because you are the first heart made from two worlds." The signal ended. The other ship disappeared into a shimmer of stars, like it had never been there. Carter looked at her. "They're right. You can choose." Lyra's voice trembled. "I don't know how." He pointed to the window. Below them, the stars blinked. Dozens of ships were moving through the belts. Human outposts. Alien colonies. Broken places where war still burned. You go down there with fire, and you'll scare them into silence. But if you go down with light, they might listen. Tears touched her eyes. "And if they shoot? Then I'll stand in front of you." Again, Lyra smiled. It was small, but real. Then, the ship shook violently. A blast hit their rear engines. Warning alarms screamed. Carter grabbed the controls. "Missile strike, we're hit." Another blast rocked the pod. Lyra screamed, falling against the wall. Carter struggled to land the ship near a forest moon just outside the belt. The pod slammed into the trees and slid through the snow, finally stopping near a frozen lake. Sparks flew from the controls. Smoke filled the pod. "You hurt?" Carter asked, coughing. Lyra shook her head. "No." Carter opened the hatch. Cold air rushed in, but it wasn't empty outside. A squad of human troopers stepped out from the trees, weapons raised. And with them, someone unexpected. Dr. Mayron, older now. Her face lined with time. Her eyes tired. She stepped forward slowly. "Lyra," Lyra gasped. You're alive?" Mayron nodded. "I ran. Hid, waited, and hoped you would survive." Lyra moved toward her, but the soldiers blocked her. Mayron raised her hand. "Lower your weapons." The troopers hesitated, then obeyed. "I failed you once," Mayron said. "But I'm here now. Not to command you, but to beg." "Beg?" Lyra asked. Mayron knelt. "We need you, to fix what we broke. Not with fire, but with light." Lyra's body began to glow brighter than ever. But it wasn't burning. It was calm, warm, like sunrise. "I don't want revenge," she said. "I want to change everything." She stepped past the soldiers. Carter followed beside her. They walked into the snowy trees together. And this time, Lyra didn't feel lost. She felt whole. Snow drifted gently from the sky as Lyra stepped through the forest, her feet leaving soft glowing prints behind. Carter walked beside her, keeping quiet, watching every movement around them. Behind them, Dr. Mayron followed slowly, while the soldiers stayed at a distance, unsure of what to do with their weapons. Lyra's glow grew warmer with every step. Trees that were dead and frozen began to show signs of life. Small leaves opened. Ice melted where her feet touched. Carter noticed it first. "You're changing things," he said quietly. "I'm not trying to," Lyra replied. "Maybe it's not about trying," Carter said. "Maybe it's just who you are now." They reached a clearing in the forest. In the middle stood a stone monument, half buried, forgotten. Lyra stopped. "This place feels important." Mayron stepped forward. "It is." This was where the first peace treaty was signed between humans and her kind. The same day, Project Lumina began. Lyra walked toward the stone. Strange symbols were carved on its surface, half in human language, half in the alien script. She ran her fingers across the markings. A wave of memory surged through her. She saw the faces of those who built her. Scientists, warriors, mothers, fathers, children. She saw how they hoped to create a child of both worlds. A bridge that could teach both sides to stop fearing each other. And she saw how that hope was shattered. Ships burned in the sky. Trust broke. Orders were given. Her pod was hidden, her memory erased. But the spark of her purpose had survived. And now it was awake. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. In the distance, ships broke through the clouds. Earth's high command had arrived. Large black transports hovered over the forest like shadows. Lights scanned the trees. Loudspeakers crackled. Surrender the hybrid. This is your final warning. Carter stepped in front of Lyra again. They're not going to let this end peacefully. Lyra's eyes locked on the ships above. Then we make them understand. She stepped forward, out of the trees, into full view. The soldiers from High Command pointed weapons down from their ships. Drones hovered, scanning her. Her glow now lit up the entire clearing. May Wren called out, "Stand down. She's not the enemy." But no one listened. A blast shot from the lead ship. It wasn't a warning. It was meant to kill. The beam raced toward her. Lyra didn't move. Instead, she lifted her hands. A brilliant light burst from her chest, white, gold, and soft blue. It wasn't fire. It was warmth. It spread like a wave. In every direction, stopping the blast in midair. The energy turned to tiny stars and scattered harmlessly into the sky. Carter shielded his eyes. Lyra. She floated off the ground now, her hair flowing like light in water. Her voice echoed. Calm but strong. I'm not a weapon. I'm not a project. I'm a person. And I choose peace. Another blast came from the ships. Bigger, hotter. This time, she responded not with power, but with her heart. She thought of Carter, of the red scarf he gave her as a child, of Dr. Mayron's lullabies, of the glowstone in Carter's hand, of the quiet kindness that saved her when she was freezing in the snow. She poured all of that into her light. The second blast dissolved before it touched the ground. Then something strange happened. The soldiers on the ground and in the ships lowered their weapons. One by one, they stepped back. Something had changed. The fear was gone. Inside the lead ship, a general watched the screen in silence. She didn't attack, he whispered. She protected. Even after everything, she protected. He gave a slow nod. All units, stand down. Lyra floated gently back to the ground. The light dimmed, but didn't vanish. It stayed with her, inside her now. She turned to Carter. It's over, he smiled. No, it's just beginning. A few days later, a message was sent across the galaxy. A message from a girl who once shivered alone in the snow. She wasn't a queen, or a soldier, or a god. She was Lyra, a bridge between stars. Her words were simple. You feared me because I was different. But I never wanted to harm you. I only wanted to share my warmth. If we hold out our hands instead of weapons, maybe we can still heal what's broken. I did not choose to be created, but I now choose what I become. Peace didn't come in one day, but it began that day. Because one girl refused to burn the world that hurt her. She chose instead to light a path for it, and someone was there to walk it with her.